Alright, I am finally to a spot where I'm all caught up on everything. My yard work's all caught up. I got all the field work done that I can do. With the ground being as wet as it is, the soil sample is done, can't do any chisel plowing, so we're not looking at any field work. I don't have any other projects lined up that are pressing, need done right now. So, finally, gonna get a chance to mess with this girl. Finally. I still haven't figured out unless... I wonder if those keys fit the door. I bet those keys fit the door. Anyhow, we want that key. This thing hasn't started in 2 weeks. Thing to figure out on this thing is going to be the wiring. It's going to leave a little bit to be desired. I think mechanically, I don't think we're going to have too many issues. At least initially. I'm sure we start using it, some stuff's going to pop up, but you're going to have that no matter what. To get her a bath today, get the cab kit pulled out of it so it'll start airing out, although it does smell a crap ton better since when I brought it back, or brought it home. I'd like to get filter numbers for it today so I can get oil filters. Hopefully I can find the AGCO numbers and I can cross them over on Baldwin, get the Baldwin numbers for them, so I can get filters coming for it. And I don't know, maybe we'll try to run her out to her home today. We'll find out. But anyway, I'm gonna let her sit here and warm up for a while. Because it seems like the more it runs, the better it runs. So we'll let her warm up for a while, and I'll pull it down to the house. We'll get her washed up. Dad and I were talking yesterday. I think we're gonna start formulating a plan of attack on this barn. Dad, I guess, has already been thinking about it before I brought it up yesterday, but what I want to do, and it sounded like Dad was on board with it, first thing we got to do is get the walls stood back up straight, which Dad's already got a plan for that. But get the walls stood back up straight, get it as square as we can get it, and then backfill all the way around it, and then fill the basement in, and just not even worry about the foundation. And then pour a slab in there and just make it a one-story barn, put some lofts in it, because the basement in that is even shorter than the basement in my barn at home. It's basically useless. The main floor is useless because the way they built the floor in this, it's literally made for hay. You're not going to park equipment in there. It's not even like my barn. You can fit small stuff in there. It's just the floor in this thing is not framed up for that kind of weight. It's a hay barn. That kind of concentrated weight, I should say. Hay, you got more weight than that, but it's spread over the entire floor. So that might be a project coming up. First thing we got to do is get the basement cleaned out so we got room to work, but hopefully we can figure something out on that, because I don't want to see that barn fall down. Dad always talked about, when we first bought it, he was playing the tough guy. Just need to knock it in a pile and get rid of it and put up a pole barn. But I don't think Dad wants to see it gone either, so. But we shall see how that plays out. So that might be coming up too. But I'm gonna go down and do some stuff at the house real quick, and then we'll come get her. Okay, now we gotta figure out these here side panels. Is it just this one? Yeah. I don't see anything up here. That's for the lower panel. Does it? I don't have anything to set you on. I'm gonna consult the book, but which one is that? that's a fancy little dealio. I got you pointing in the right direction or not. That's so much easier. Well, I mean, this is a little more. Oh, that muffler's blown clean out. That pretty much cinches the fact that she's getting a straight pipe. I don't know what we're gonna do about the aspirated air cleaner part of it, but cross that bridge when we get to it. Turbo elbow definitely needs replaced too, because it definitely re-broke. It's not even hanging on the turbo really. So that needs done. New belts. That's just run-of-the-mill stuff. I don't know what they got going on with the air conditioning here. That's a mystery. And then this thing looks new, like they put it in and never hooked it back up. So we're gonna have to investigate what's going on there, because that's why the AC doesn't work, obviously. That bracket looks homemade. That bracket is homemade. Okay, we're gonna have to investigate the entire air conditioning. What all that. Oh, this is all homemade. I'm guessing something went wrong with the AC condenser and couldn't get a replacement one, so they fabricated something up. Wonder what the odds are if I call the right people, if I could find the one that fits, because you can see how it used to go in. Right there, right there. I'm guessing maybe lower. Anyway, I figure that out when the time comes. But to get the side panels off, what you do is you got this little R-clip here, and then the dog leg rocks out and slides down, and then those two pins hook right there. And then you got these wang nuts right here. That's a good heavy bolted. Wow, that radiator's freaking, like, this radiator's all bolted together. It's not even soldered. They went all out on this thing. which that's more of a heavy duty industrial, like that's what you'd find on construction equipment, stuff like that. But you take those out, and then the front of the panel comes out after you undo this guy here. And then the back of the panel is hung on that pin and that pin up there, so you just pull the front of the panel out and walk forward with it, and it comes off. And in these back panels that I might as well take off too, it looks like they're kind of the opposite. You pull off those two bolts back there, and the back will rock out, and you pull that straight forward. Okay, that's all the side panels off. And I'll tell you what, these aren't too terrible. These things are like sheet metal equivalent of armor plate. I mean, that's like 16th, maybe 8th. I mean, these things are heavy. Heavy. Like these probably weigh, oh yeah, those weigh more than those. And there's not as much, they're not as big. And compared to the 150, and really any of them that have the fuel tank sitting right there, there's so much more room for activities. It looks like a greaser. Oh, no, that's a bleeder. Nope, that's probably a brake bleeder is what that probably is. I bet there's a matching one on the other side. Probably gonna want to look at replacing those steering hoses. Luckily those things are nice and easy to get to. Apparently they put a two-piece steering column in it with a universal, because I don't see, yeah, that steering motor doesn't have enough room to tilt, and it's way too far down. So would have been nice if they'd have done that on all of them. I mean, it looks like a lot, but there's really not a whole lot to this thing, in all honesty. I mean, don't get me wrong, the wiring is still going to be a chore to figure out, but there's really not that much. Really, the biggest thing I got to figure out is exactly what they have going on back here, because they added this little electrical box, and this harness comes out of it, and I don't know what all's going on here. And it's spliced into the original harness right there. I just don't know what all's going on. So that's something's gonna have to be figured out. And it looks like this lower input shaft seal, nope, it's the upper. The upper input shaft seal leaks. Everything on the back, or all the wiring and stuff on the back, actually didn't look too bad. Probably pull connections apart, clean them up, get them put back together, sealed up good. That hose needs replaced, something fierce for it breaks. Probably figure on putting all new fuel hoses on it, obviously. Actually, probably gonna replace all the hoses on it while we're there. Because like that guy there, it's about ready to let go. Have to pull that cover off and see what's going on under there. Actually, how dirty is it in there? I might just pull that cover off right now. It's 4 bolts. I'm gonna pull that cover off just so I can get up in there and clean. Might as well do as good a job as we can while we're here, right? Okay, I got this cover off. None of these hoses look all that spectacular, so that's gonna have to be on the list. Wiring doesn't look that bad. It just feels like these things, or the cables, or your control cables for all your remote functions, it just seems like they should have been back under here too. but maybe not. I'll have to look in the book and see if I can find any pictures. If they're on the outside of the guard, then they're in the right spot. If not, well, then they're not. But I'm curious to see if it's, as far as getting stuff working back here, I'm curious to see if it's the cables froze up or if it is the they did the same thing they did on the other tractors, and it's got a rock shaft back here with levers on it. Curious to see what's froze, the cables or the levers. My bet's on the levers, but looks like that hose has been a problem child before. I'm thinking the easiest thing to do, because I don't think it takes much to get that fuel tank unhooked. I'm wondering if the easiest thing to do when we get to work on it is just unhook everything, pull that fuel tank off, do what I need to do, and then set the fuel tank back on. I think it's just bolts back there. And isn't there bolts up in here? Oh, they're supposed to be. That bolt's missing. Oh, that bolt's broke off. So, yeah, it's almost empty anyhow. I'm thinking we might, if time allows, I don't think it would take much more than 30 minutes to get that fuel tank off of there. And that would make life a lot easier for working on the stuff there in the back. We'll see how things go. But, so I got that guard pulled off. I got this one pulled off that covers up all the shift linkages and what have you. I need to figure out which one of these deals works the power shift, so we can figure out why it's sticky. I'm guessing these are probably all that's probably all main transmission, the actual gear shift. Oh, that's throttle. With all the slop in it, I'm betting that guy right there is the power shift. So where does that guy go? There's got to be some sort of bell crank they got working in there to change the direction. Naturally, you can't get in there to see it. Okay, yeah. So it's that chain link right there. And I'm betting that's all slop. If I can get my hand in here. So that's going to take some investigating as to exactly it feels like most of the slop is actually up there in the cab. Anyhow, we're getting too far ahead of ourselves. I'm going to get the power washer out and we're going to give her the bath that she so desperately needs. a half of power washing. Went into it, it's like, hey, it's not that dirty, it's not gonna take that long. Yeah, right. But I got a lot of the grease knocked off of it. There's gonna be a big old black stain in the driveway. Definitely gonna have to take the fuel tank off because I was standing on top of it, power washing the top of the cab, and I stepped wrong and it rocked. The fuel tank's loose. And I'm guessing, I was washing and I noticed that steel plate right there. And I bet if you took that plate off so you could see through the hole, either the bolt hole in the axle there is stripped out or the bolt broke off in the axle, one of the two, because it's supposed to be like that. So there's that there, and then there's a bolt missing in the front. So there's only actually two bolts holding it on in the correct way. So we'll have to take that tank off anyhow and correct all that, or correct those situations, because that would be quite the adventure, running across the field and all of a sudden the fuel tank decides to flip off one way or the other and you run it over. So, but I'm gonna let this thing sit for a little bit and drip off and dry off so that we can see, because I saw I've obviously got a bunch of grease there on the, or loose grease on the other side that still needs blown back off. So I'm gonna let it sit, dry off, so we can see where everything's still laying, and then I'm gonna come back to it and just with a rinse tip, just rinse everything back off one more time, and because it's probably gonna take it's already a lot cleaner than it was, as you can tell, so it's probably gonna take more than one hit to get it good, but it's good enough to work on it. So I'm gonna go get me some lunch, and then we'll come back and blow it off one more time, and then we can put it back together and go from there. Well, it may not look like much, but that, I mean, that's a lot of crap. Most of it all off. Oh, there's a little bit of, that's better. Most of it all off the front frame with a little bit. The back really wasn't all that bad. The hinge was scuzzy, but for the most part, most of this crap came off of from here forward. But I guess back it up so that I can wash the concrete off. I almost pulled this thing over in the yard to wash it, but I really didn't want to be blowing that crap off of it into the yard, and 30,000 pounds would probably put a few dents in the yard, so I didn't. And I'm sure I found every single leak in the cab. And I noticed while I was washing it, this window's not even all the way in the seal. It's hanging out up here at the top. The back window has been leaking because they siliconed around it. So I'm thinking what I'm going to end up having to do, and here, like, this seal shrunk and there's an opening right there. What? What? You don't need to come up here. Yeah, you don't need to come up. despite what you think. Hopefully they use these things in other... What? Hopefully they use these in other models of tractor so that I can find some different ones. That one's not broke, but this one's broke. Anyhow, what was I saying? I think what I'm going to have to do before I even consider putting the cab kit in is get a window guy out and have him pop all the windows out and put them in with new seals. Because I'm pretty sure all the windows leak in one capacity or another. Like, all right, there's mold growing. I'm almost thinking before I even put the cab kit in it, run it for a spring without the cab kit in it and make sure I got all the leaks fixed. Because once you put a cab kit in, you're kind of done. It's not like it's something you put in and then take back out readily. You're probably going to destroy it taking it back out. But before I bother putting a $700 cab kit in this thing, because that's about what you have between the padding and the headliner. I don't need a new floor mat. The floor mat's fine. I just got to pull it out and clean out from underneath it, and possibly, you know, like there's a little bit of, there's a I think it's through, but there's rust right here. You can see it from the outside. You can see it's growing right there. Basically need to clean all the rust out of it and probably rattle can it to prevent anything. But anyhow, what was I saying? Oh yeah, get everything that looks like it's gonna leak fixed, run it, let it get rained on and stuff, figure out where all the water's gonna come through, fix it again, and then put the cab kit in. That way I don't waste a $700 cab kit, because by the time you do all the padding and the headliner, that's about what it's going to cost you. So that's kind of my thoughts right now. Plus, if there any other issues arise with the console or any electrical stuff, or Lily, you don't go across the road. You can get at it without hurting any of the padding or anything like that. So that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know what I'm going to do about the seat. I don't know if you can... I would assume this is the same padding as a row crop tractor, but I cannot confirm nor deny. Hopefully she still starts. What exhaust leak? Drives, it's going to get a lot better because that nasty crap that's in it can't be helping it none. But this thing's going to be easy as heck to service because there's only the front final drive takes care of the final drive and the power shift. That's all one reservoir. The rear final drive takes care of the hydraulics and the rear final, so that's all one reservoir. They both run High-Tran oil, or whatever White called their equivalent to High-Tran. And then you got your engine oil, so you got 3 oil reservoirs on the whole tractor. So they greatly simplified this thing compared to the other 4-wheel drives and the other row crops. So, let me get my mess cleaned up. Start fiddling with this cab kit. Ooh. That shit's nasty. Ooh, that's nasty. Who's this? Nasty. Ugh. You definitely have to get all the cab wiring fixed before the cab kit goes in because it covers up all the wiring harness. I'm also trying to figure out exactly how this works because I'm wondering if you're gonna, I guess I have to see what kind of instructions the new kit comes with, if they make it to where you don't have to, but there's a teeny tiny bit of padding material tucked up in between the window seal and the cab frame. So I don't know if the new kit, you have to pull the windows regardless to put it in right, or if the new kit's made to not have to do that. It's going to be interesting to see how that works. Well, I found my mouse smell. Now I'm scared to take the headliner down. Ugh. Alright, headliner is out. That was a chore. Now I got a whole mess to vacuum up. There was quite the mouse nest up here above the door. To get the headliner out, had to unbolt the window from the stay rods so it'll swing all the way open. Stick it out the back because there's no way to manipulate it to get it out the door. But I'm running out of daylight, so let me get my mess vacuumed up and we'll call her a day after that. Alright. You can't really see much, but it's all vacuumed out now. And it smells 10 times better. So we're gonna... I'm out of daylight, so obviously. So I'll bring it back down tomorrow and put some of the parts back in. That way stuff doesn't walk off. And get some of the wires tied up that are hanging loose now because there's stuff that's assembled into the headliner. Get it tidied up a little bit so it's transported. I mean, it can do it right now. Make it a little bit more tidy, and then either tomorrow or Tuesday get it over to Nick's and get it in a barn. That way it's undercover because it hasn't seen a roof in many moons, so she ought to enjoy that. But anyhow, I'm gonna get her moved back up to the farm and call it a night. So that's it for this one. We'll catch you guys on the next one.